In a world consumed by chaos and distraction, we often forget the most profound truth: that love, no matter how distant it seems, never stops pursuing us. Fulton J. Sheen, a master of words and wisdom, takes us on an unforgettable journey through the life of Francis Thompson, a man who tried to escape his fate, only to be relentlessly chased by God's love. This is a story of despair, redemption, and the power of love to save us, even in the darkest moments. Join me as we unravel Sheen's profound insights and discover how divine love can transform even the most broken souls.
In today's fast-paced and complex world, we often find ourselves overwhelmed by the demands of life. Whether it's the constant pressure to succeed, the weight of responsibility, or the anxiety of an uncertain future, the desire to escape reality is something many of us have experienced. Fulton Sheen draws on this universal human experience, reflecting on how people throughout history have sought ways to numb their consciousness, to flee from the burdens of life. Sheen introduces the tragic figure of Francis Thompson, a young man of great intellect and potential, who fell victim to this very impulse. At the age of 17, Thompson was already feeling the strain of life's expectations. Having been told he wasn't suited for the priesthood and finding no fulfillment in his pursuit of medicine, Thompson began to drift. His refuge became literature, and it was a book, Confessions of an Opium Eater by Thomas de Quincey, that led him down a path of addiction and despair. Sheen's retelling of this story is not just about a single man's fall from grace, but a reflection of how many of us look for ways to escape. For Thompson, the opium offered a temporary relief from the disappointment and confusion he felt in his life. But Sheen reminds us that these fleeting escapes come at a great cost. Thompson's life, once full of promise, spiraled into darkness as he sought to avoid the responsibilities of consciousness. This theme is incredibly relevant today. In a world where distractions are endless, whether it's through technology, substances, or even overworking ourselves, we can easily lose sight of what truly matters. Sheen's message is clear. Running from our problems may provide temporary relief, but it never leads to lasting peace. Like Thompson, we may find that the escape we seek only deepens our suffering. Life is often shaped not by grand, dramatic moments, but by the small, seemingly insignificant decisions we make along the way. Fulton Sheen reflects on how these tiny choices can alter the course of our lives in ways we never expect. He reminds us of the story shared by Jean Quitau, a member of the French Academy, who was imprisoned during World War II. In the quiet moments of captivity, Quitau and his fellow prisoners passed the time by telling the stories of how their parents met. What stood out in these stories was how random and trivial the circumstances were. A chance encounter, a misplaced letter, a wrong address. These small moments, unnoticed at the time, became the foundation for entire lives. They led to marriages, families, and ultimately to these men sitting together as prisoners under a totalitarian regime. The thread that connected them all was woven from the smallest, most accidental events. Sheen uses this story as a metaphor for the ways in which our own lives are shaped. Francis Thompson's descent into addiction didn't happen overnight. It began with a single, well-meaning gesture, a gift from his mother. She gave him De Quincey's Confessions of an Opium Eater, unaware of the influence it would have on her son's life. For Thompson, that book sparked a curiosity that led him down a path of drug addiction and homelessness. What seemed like an innocent moment became a turning point in his life. This idea that our lives are shaped by small decisions resonates deeply. How often do we make choices, not realizing their potential impact? The people we meet, the books we read, the seemingly insignificant moments, all of these can alter the trajectory of our lives. Sheen urges us to be mindful of these moments, to recognize that even the smallest decisions can have profound consequences. One of the most powerful elements of Sheen's sermon is his reflection on the redemptive power of love, particularly when it comes from the most unexpected places. In the case of Francis Thompson, it was a woman of the streets who became his lifeline during his darkest days. Sheen paints a vivid picture of this moment, describing Thompson as a man who had lost everything: his health, his dignity, his hope. He wandered the streets of London, emaciated and broken, finding small jobs to survive. In this state, he encountered a woman whose kindness would leave an indelible mark on his soul. This woman, whom Sheen poetically describes as a spring flower fallen from the coronet of spring, cared for Thompson when no one else would. She gave him food, shelter, and companionship, even though she herself lived a life on the margins of society. In her, Thompson found not just physical sustenance, but a sense of humanity that had been stripped away by his addiction. Sheen's retelling of this relationship is filled with deep empathy and compassion. He doesn't present the woman as a savior in the traditional sense, but as a fellow human being who, despite her own struggles, was able to offer love and support. This act of kindness, though small, was enough to keep Thompson alive during a time when he had nothing else to hold on to. This theme of unexpected redemption is central to Sheen's message. Love, he reminds us, can come from the most unlikely places. It doesn't matter who delivers it or how it's given. What matters is that love, in its purest form, has the power to save. Thompson's story is a testament to the fact that even in our darkest moments, love can find us. It may come from a stranger, a fleeting encounter, or someone we least expect, but when it does, it has the power to change everything. One of the most profound elements of Francis Thompson's life was his relationship with God, a relationship he often tried to escape. Sheen explores this through Thompson's famous poem, The Hound of Heaven, which describes a man fleeing from the relentless pursuit of God's love. The imagery of the poem is powerful. God, like a hound on the hunt, chases the poet through the dark alleys and corners of his life, refusing to let him go. Sheen's interpretation of this poem offers a deep reflection on the nature of divine love. Thompson, like so many of us, believed that he could outrun God. He sought solace in addiction, in the fleeting pleasures of the world, thinking that he could escape the responsibilities and pain of his existence. But no matter how far he ran, no matter how deeply he sank into despair, God's love continued to pursue him. This pursuit, Sheen explains, is not one of punishment or judgment, but of unconditional love. God, like the hound in Thompson's poem, chases us because he wants to bring us back to him. It is not enough for God to stand by and watch as we lose ourselves. His love compels him to seek us out, to follow us even into the darkest corners of our lives. Sheen's exploration of the Hound of Heaven speaks to a universal truth. We often run from the very thing we need most. Whether it's out of fear, shame, or a desire for control, we push away the love that could save us. But Sheen reminds us that no matter how far we go, God's love will never stop pursuing us. It is relentless, patient, and ever-present, waiting for the moment when we finally stop running and allow ourselves to be found. One of the most heart-wrenching moments in Sheen's sermon is his recounting of Francis Thompson's near-suicide. After years of addiction, poverty, and hopelessness, Thompson saw no way out. He had saved enough money to buy the opium that would end his life, and he prepared to take the fatal dose. It seemed like the only escape from the pain and suffering that had consumed him. But in that moment of ultimate despair, something extraordinary happened. Thompson felt a hand, gentle yet firm, on his own, stopping him from taking the final dose of opium. Sheen draws on this moment as a symbol of divine intervention, a reminder that even in our darkest hours, there is always hope. The hand that stopped Thompson, he believed, belonged to Chatterton, a poet who had lived a century before him. Whether it was Chatterton or a manifestation of something greater, this moment saved Thompson's life. Sheen uses this story to illustrate the struggle between despair and hope that many of us face. When life becomes overwhelming, it can feel like there is no way out, no possibility of redemption. But Sheen reminds us that even when we feel utterly alone, there is always a presence watching over us, guiding us back from the brink. This presence may come in the form of a friend, a stranger, or a mysterious hand that stops us in our tracks, but it is always there, offering us a way back to the light. This part of Sheen's sermon is a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. No matter how lost we feel, no matter how deep our despair, there is always hope. Thompson's life, which could have ended in tragedy that night, was instead given a second chance, a chance to find redemption, love, and ultimately peace. As Sheen reflects on the final years of Francis Thompson's life, he emphasizes the central theme of love, both human and divine, as the key to salvation. After years of suffering and isolation, Thompson finally found solace in the simple, innocent love of a child. Sheen tells the story of a little girl named Daisy, whom Thompson encountered during his time at Storrington Abbey. Daisy's small acts of kindness, a smile, a gift of raspberries, became a source of comfort and healing for Thompson. Sheen beautifully captures the delicate balance between joy and sorrow that comes with love. Thompson's heart, which had been hardened by years of pain, began to soften in the presence of this child's pure love. But even as he experienced the sweetness of this connection, Thompson was acutely aware of the pain that love often brings. "Love is the ambassador of loss," Sheen quotes Thompson, expressing the fear that accompanies deep love, the fear of losing what we hold dear. In Sheen's view, love is both the greatest gift and the greatest challenge we face. It opens us up to the possibility of deep connection, but it also exposes us to the risk of loss. Yet, despite this fear, love remains the key to salvation. It is through love that we find redemption, healing, and ultimately peace. For Thompson, love, whether it came from a woman on the streets, a child's innocent smile, or the unwavering pursuit of God, was the force that pulled him out of the darkness and led him toward the light. Sheen's sermon ends with a powerful reminder that love is the thread that binds us to the divine. It is the force that connects us to one another and to God. In love, we find not only the strength to carry on, but the promise of something greater, something eternal.
As we reach the end of this journey, one truth remains clear. No matter how far we run, love will always find us. Fulton Sheen's words remind us that even in the darkest corners of our lives, God's love never ceases its pursuit. It's in these moments of vulnerability that we often find the greatest redemption. Whether through the kindness of strangers, the innocence of a child, or a mysterious hand pulling us back from the brink, we are never alone. So, as we go forward, let's remember Sheen's powerful message. Love is not just a many-splendored thing. It is the force that holds us together and leads us home. Until next time, may you walk in that light and never stop believing in the power of love.